Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday.
It is Monday again, and it's the first Monday in August. I don't know where the hell July went, but I feel like we've been cheated. We're really excited about this. Actually, a new venture that we're starting, and we've reached out to all the other jazz societies in South Florida, Gold Coast Jazz Society, and South Florida Jazz, and Sunshine Jazz organization, and we've decided to collaborate and bring these shows to you as a group and try to reach as many people as we can and keep the jazz going. That's really all of our collective goals, is to just keep people looking and searching and listening to live jazz. So
so we spoke earlier to the three members of these societies, and we recorded.
Well, there's more than three members in the society.
Well, yeah, the three. Oh, actually, the three organizers of these societies.
To make that clear.
Yes, exactly. Just so that you all can get to meet them and hear a little bit about what they're doing.
So let's take a look at the clip, shall we? So what we're going to do is bring everybody on, and you can say hi and learn a little bit about the organization. So at first up, we've got Keith Vallis with the Sunshine Jazz Organization.
Hello, Keith.
How you doing? The SJO.
Yeah, Sunshine Jazz. We're doing fine. How you doing?
We're doing
earlier. Y'all look like sisters and brothers right now.
Right.
There you go.
And we've got next.
Oh, and then we've got Ron Weber of the South Florida Jazz. So, is it just South Florida? Just South Florida Jazz.
South Florida
South
Jazz.
Florida Jazz.
Hey, Ron, how are you?
Hi.
And of course, Pam Dearden with the Gold Coast Jazz Society.
Hello, Pam.
How you doing?
Hi. Good evening. Oh, I'm great. Thanks.
We are so excited to be kind of partnering with you guys. It's been my dream. I've been on the board of Miami Jazz Co-op, and I've been like, we've got to do something all together. We've got to, come together. I just love the idea of collaboration. So I'm so happy that we're doing this.
Absolutely. So let's hear from each one of you and tell us a little bit about your organization and what it means to you and what it means to our community. So let's start with Keith first.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm Keith Vallis, president of the Sunshine Jazz Organization. And believe it or not, this September 30th we'll be going into our 34th year presenting jazz here in South Florida. It was founded by my mother and father, Thelma and China Vallis. China Vallis, of course, infamous, famous DJ, through South Florida for almost 50 years. He'll probably say 60 if he was still with us. And they founded the organization back in 1986. And our mission is to promote, educate, and foster jazz throughout South Florida. And we're glad to partner with all these wonderful organizations that are here with us now. And Wendy, in order, thank you very much for making sure this happens.
Thank you for being part of it.
Yes, I loved your dad so much, and he was one of the first people to ever play my music on air. So that was really exciting for me.
You don't know how many times I hear that.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and so next up, let's talk to Ron Weber of South Florida Jazz.
South Florida Jazz had its origin with the Hollywood Jazz Festival starting in 1992. And actually, we've gone through a couple of iterations of our name since we began. And I would say we just completed our 28th year, but we didn't exactly complete our season, as everybody knows. We all ran into that invisible wall. Oh, I hate to use that metaphor. But we're facing the same kinds of issues that everyone is, and it's a bit terrifying, I think, for all of us in the entertainment, education, performance, presentation spheres. And it's for that reason that we were eager to reach out also to Miami Jazz Co-op and try and keep a vibe in South Florida, because it's very easy for something to disappear and after a while forgotten rather quickly.
Exactly.
I remember, and I think of China. China had his famous nighttime jazz show on WTMI, which was a classical music station. Mm-hmm. And that station was sold and went to pop, hip hop, R&B. And there was an outcry for about 2 or 3 months, and then it just went away. And then people found their entertainment somewhere else. So we would hate to see that happen.
Exactly.
After all these years that all of our organizations have spent trying to cultivate jazz in the region, it's so important, I think, to make an effort to collaborate and keep our audience
and keep the music going as much as we can.
As difficult as that is, and I talk to people all over the country, and even in other countries that have performed for us. And it's tragic. It's just tragic. And everybody's making an effort,
Yeah.
but it's hard. And I applaud what you're doing each week. And we're delighted to be collaborating with you.
Well,
Thank
we're
you very
so
much.
excited too. And then we've got Pam Dearden of the Gold Coast Jazz Society. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you. Thanks for having me on here tonight. And
Oh,
thank you
such
for
a pleasure.
including us. Thank you for including us in the group.
Absolutely. Please tell
Well-
us about your organization.
Well, we're like Ron. We started in 1992, and our founder was Fred Ruffner, who assembled a group of jazz friends because they were used to going to New York and seeing all these great jazz shows, and South Florida didn't have a lot of jazz. So he started the Gold Coast Jazz Society, and then we've grown over almost 30 years now. So we're not just a jazz presenter. We have educational programs. We have a jam session for students. We have a pretty extensive scholarship program for students to study at camps, which of course nobody got to do that this year.
I know.
And then, which was sad. And then to help kids as they study jazz in college. So they have to be a jazz major. So we do a lot of different things, and we're based in Fort Lauderdale.
That's
And
great.
again, we like Ron, we had to end our season in March, and it's we've all been kind of searching as to what we can do to keep jazz alive and keep things
Yeah.
going and keep our people engaged and do what we
Exactly.
can to keep the art form alive. So
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been kind of a dilemma for all of us of what to do and how to do it, and trying to get people to sit in front of now, because now it's like you're home but you have endless options. So trying to get people engaged at in front of their computer at a certain time, and
Yeah.
it's been difficult,
right.
but it's a challenge, but I think it's important.
Absolutely.
We're gonna bring everybody back and get ready for the show.
So once again, we really are super excited about this collaboration, and we're looking forward to making some good musical things happen during this crazy time, and hopefully beyond.
Yeah. Once we know, and yeah, looking forward to some amazing music.
Yeah.
It's gonna keep on going. If I have anything to do with, if we have anything to do with it, it's going to keep going, and that's the important thing.
Thanks
So,
again, everyone.
Thanks again, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
good night. Thank you.
So there you have it.
So yeah, we're very excited for the collaborations. I was talking to them, and I had been doing a little digging on each of their websites, and my heart sank because I took a look and saw all of the shows that were scheduled for the rest of the season, and they were some really, really good shows, and it's
I don't
heartbreaking.
think any of us knew back in March that we were still going to be in this place at
That is
this
true.
point.
But here we are, and we're doing the best we can. Before we bring on our guest of the night, we wanted to do one last thing. The jazz community lost a huge figure and icon. In my world, at least, Alice Day left us, and we just were going to do a little tiny tribute. I think actually I have in my mind to do a larger tribute, but one of our board members, Jim Gazier, played this piece for Alice, and we just wanted to take a little bit of time and remember this amazing, strong, powerful woman, Alice Day.
Good afternoon. I'm Jim Gazier. I'd like to express my appreciation and honor and respect to Miss Alice Day. I've had the pleasure of playing for her on a few occasions, and knowing her and appreciating her voice, her musicianship, and her fellowship. She was always such a kind person to me, and certainly most incredibly unique person, and always marched to the beat of her own drum. And in celebration of her and of her life, I'd like just to play a quick version of Alice in Wonderland. Thank you, Alice Day.
Jim Gazier paying tribute to a most extraordinary woman. Oh, that was beautiful.
It was fantastic.
So, tonight's show, we are exploring the amazing person that is Carlomagno Araya. I know he's no longer in Miami, but he had such an indelible, he made such an indelible mark on the music scene in Miami. I got to play with him, and I think he just played with every single person.
Everybody
he played with
in the music community. I'm sure he's had some sort of interaction in some capacity.
And now he took his life force and his musical, powers and moved and took it with him to Costa Rica, where he is doing amazing things with the university there, and we're going to learn all about it. Really exciting. So please welcome Carlomagno Araya.
Hey guys, so great to see you, Wendy, Nikki.
Good to see you too, man.
Man, you're making me miss all those years and all those gigs.
What can I tell you?
I really do believe that you played with every single person that was, that were playing at the time. I saw you on everybody's gigs, for sure.
Yep. Now, this is kind of, I was going to say, this is special for all of us, but for me in particular, because we go back about 3 decades now. Mm-hmm. Which seems mathematically impossible since we're not that old. But here's a picture of the year when we met. That's a pretty small one, but let me show you. This is at the dinner table in 1992, I believe. Yeah. I have no idea why we're my brother's sticking a fork in your mouth and we're making faces. But what's fascinating about this, and correct me, Carlomagno, if I'm wrong. The way I remember it anyways, in 1992, John Giorgini, my brother, and I were performing in Costa Rica. We were doing some sort of cultural exchange, and we were doing master classes. And so it was obviously, G was playing trumpet, my brother on piano, and I was a bass player. You ended up being the drummer. We did not know you. None of us knew you at that point, and you were obviously a little young kid. So we're of course ready for our clinics and everything. And then you played, and it's like, hey, this guy's like badass. Even then.
Well, let me correct you a little bit, because he goes a little couple of years earlier. You guys went representing UM to this exchange program at the Costa Rican North American Cultural Center, which is the institution that I run the big band with. Okay. And you came there as a just you and Mike. Right. And
that's when I got the. Is that when I got the chicken pox?
Exactly. And we,
oh my God.
That's right. He played with he was sick as a dog.
Got it. Okay. Well, it's all.
And anyways, so that was a couple of people were supposed to do that concert with us, but everybody bailed out, so I became the only one. So we formed a trio, and I will never forget. I mean, I have to say it because it is what it is. These guys were monsters, and they made me feel so comfortable. Me not knowing a lot of stuff to be able to function properly at that time, and I know I couldn't because I had a tape. I can go back and listen to it.
I think you're wrong.
But anyways, but these guys made me feel so comfortable that it was. They spoke to me about the schools in Miami and UM and Miami-Dade and all this. So a couple of years later, another opportunity came up for them to visit Costa Rica. And actually, you guys requested that I would play with you.
Wow.
I think
isn't that what I just said?
And I think I proved a little bit more in those 2 years. That because the first time it was 1990, and then we had that really beautiful experience with Paquito and Giovanni and Mike and G and all that.
Yeah. So here's the story. So And I'm probably sure that after I tell this story, he'll tell me again that I'm completely wrong and have nothing to do with the way I just described it. But when we were playing there, Paquito was performing there with his group, right? And with Giovanni Hidalgo. And he sort of got wind that we were there, and my brother had been playing with Paquito for a while. And just Paquito being we had an outdoor concert scheduled,
Exactly.
right, with this quartet.
And he showed up.
And just being the gracious, giving, loving guy that he is, he and Giovanni showed up and sat on 2 songs, I think, 2 or 3 songs.
2 or 3
and,
songs.
You know, this is an
People
outdoor
went
thing
wild.
in the city. They went crazy. And I think that is something that we should, we actually fortunately have documentation of it. So I think we should take a look at that because it's really such a cool time.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it was
man.
such a unique event for that to happen, for Paquito to make it magical, of course. So let's take a look at that moment.
crowd goes wild.
They go wild. They go wild.
There's more?
I love the home crowd going for every solo of yours, every training. Yeah, that was
I
pretty
treasure
magical.
that video. It's beautiful, man. So
Yeah.
beautiful. I remember then, man. I was like, oh my gosh, Giovanni, man. I met him on
Ooh.
stage, and I was like, man, maybe I should just try to take care of business and play simple because I don't want to try to. It was easier
Well,
than I thought. The way the whole feel of the group, it was just great.
well, we have conversations all these decades later amongst our peers and everything. You seem to always have had, even back then when you were, getting you're really becoming the force that you have become, the idea of playing what's required of the moment
Hmm.
and trying to make everyone else sound good, which everybody on that stage was all about that.
Yeah.
I mean, Giorgini's
Hmm.
whole career was about shaping and making things sound right, and
Right.
the three of us, my brother, myself, and we had been playing for a long time, and that was part of the deal. And Paquito, of course, is one of the most generous musicians that we've ever played
Hmm.
with in terms of how he lets people shine.
That's
And
right.
Giovanni was fantastic as well. So you always had that though, and that's what makes it work, I think.
Hmm. Well, somehow, I've been always attracted to certain things in music. For one of the things that actually attracted me the most about the way you guys played is the fact that even though you had some virtuosistic elements, the lyricism and the melodic content it was always present and very directing. It had direction. So somehow I felt attracted to that. Always I felt attracted to that. So yeah, that's what I hear and what I like hearing. I mean, what sense does it make that I get in the way? You know what I mean? And also felt always very attracted to styles. Somehow I was less attracted to chops and double pedals and
Right.
crazy stuff. Somehow I'm more attracted to sounds,
The groove, the
styles. Yeah,
feeling.
well, the groove is actually very part of that, but there's a lot of nuances and styles that make it work, and I always felt very attracted to that, and I guess I don't know. This is something that is just the way I just think about the relationship of what I do with everybody else. That's all.
Well, I guess that's probably
Hmm.
why you worked with everybody.
Exactly.
Hmm.
I mean,
Hmm.
that's appreciated. Every musician appreciates that. That
Hmm.
makes it
Hmm.
feel like a journey and not a job.
And yeah,
Yeah.
so somehow at some point in my early days in Miami, I kind of had the revelation of saying, well, if I want to work, I need to appeal to musicians, not to drummers.
Right.
So
Right.
so maybe the drummers want my gigs.
Yeah.
It's the musicians that I want to appeal to. So you kind of go on their good side, but being musical, but
Right.
with other elements. So
Well, it's about
I
musical
guess.
support, right?
Hmm.
It's just really about being
Yeah.
there, supporting, listening, just being wherever it's going to go, you're going to be right there to facilitate it, to make it happen,
Yep.
to keep it
Exactly.
going. And
Yeah.
that's the problem. Sometimes, something amazing's happening, and if you let your ego get in the way to do some kind of amazing fill or something, it actually might not, it kind of bogs it down, not
Yeah.
necessarily follows through. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Much later, I understood some. I'm saying like a few years back.
yeah,
It wasn't that early, but then I realized that there is a big difference between being creative and being spontaneous.
right,
You can be spontaneous and not necessarily creative, because the difference is when you're creative, you have to keep into account the environment you're in, and when you put the environment into the equation, you come up with something that is intimately related to the environment, the musical environment you're in.
right,
So therefore, you have a chance to have an impact on it. Whereas if you're spontaneous and you just play whatever you
right,
you come across in your head, it's like gambling.
right.
That's really
Let's just roll the dice, see what comes
exactly
up.
what numbers come up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it's
mean,
true.
it's just the way it's music is so much about concepts and so much about approaches
Right. That is one thing that was always amazing. You would do a straight ahead swing gig, and then
Yes.
you would do a Latin jazz thing,
Right.
and then you would do a fusion thing,
Yeah.
and somehow you knew the gig. Like, this is what this gig is, and you will be creative and supportive within that framework.
And
Yeah.
and you just are able to traverse all these different styles. Throughout this show tonight, we're gonna pepper our conversation with videos, and you'll see this just great sense of being able to play different styles that Carlomagno has. And we already talked about my connection with you, and that's gonna come up throughout the show. But you also did many gigs with Wendy, but you did this one at one point, which why don't you tell us about this?
So we, many years ago, Rick Harris put together a jazz vocal quartet. And that was just a lot of fun, and it was very challenging and enjoyable, and it kind of ran the gamut as far as styles go, for sure. And you were always our favorite drummer to have on the gig, for sure.
Oh man, that was one of my favorite gigs to do. I just loved it. I mean, I have something for singers. I gotta
Yeah.
tell you. To me, you graduate when you comp a singer well.
That's well.
And
we love to
honestly,
hear that.
I'm serious. I'm serious. I mean, that's your test for musicianship, in
And
my
look here,
opinion.
we watching with us tonight, Brenda Alfred, and she just commented, that's why everybody loves your playing, Carlo. And then
Thank you, Brenda.
Lisanne Lyons is watching.
Let's give this a listen when you played with them. Check this out.
All right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Carlo, we always like to learn a little bit more about our guests on the show. So, we're going to just show a little picture of you when you were young. So, this is, of course, playing soccer. Was this something that you loved?
Oh man, I used to love. I mean, like all the memories I have as a kid was, in the soccer field every freaking afternoon until the sun came down and it was dark.
Right.
That was our thing back then. And even then,
Right.
we would go back to the neighborhood and play in the streets. We made it feel out of the. It's amazing how much we love playing soccer. But remember, there's no internet, no iPads,
Of
nothing,
course.
right?
Yeah.
So,
And do you come from a musical family?
no, I don't. There's no musicians in my family besides my brothers.
So you and your okay.
Exactly. The reason why we became musicians was because my parents put us on a high school that is an art school. It's the only art school. In fact, my kids in Sancela, they go to that school right now. So
Oh,
and Carla is from that school.
Okay.
So yeah, so there, in fact, this is a funny story. This is a true story. I failed the music entry exam. And I got in because I could draw
Wow.
very well.
Okay.
That's my natural talent, drawing,
Wow.
which ties to producing a little bit. Producing is very much like painting and drawing. It
That's
has
true.
a lot of that similarities, And so I got into the school for that, and 2 years into it, I discovered percussion, classical percussion. So I started playing classical percussion, and and like maybe 2 years after that, I started playing drum set.
Okay, so you were here
And
playing the vibes and
yeah, that was
oh
from Paquito's concert. Yeah.
Yep.
yeah,
Is that the first? Exactly.
but
So
you
so
play
yeah, I mean, I was a classical percussionist in school back in those days because that's the only musical education you can get here. I mean, you use right now it's changing,
yeah, of
but
course.
back then it was just like that. And at some point I remember like practicing these hard pieces of marimba, like with four mallets and everything. And I remember like having really hard time working those pieces out, for marimba solo. And I was very nervous on recitals, extremely nervous. So at some point I realized I was like, I'm not enjoying the process.
Right.
When I play a recital, I'm like I can't even function. And like few months after the recital, I can't even remember the piece.
Right.
So I was like, this doesn't have any. I mean, doesn't make any sense. If I want to make music, I want to make music on the spot, and
Right.
that's jazz. That's and that's when I said I quit school. I started practicing drums on my own. At that point, I had a good base and a good foundation on technique and control and reading. Never been a problem. And in fact, it's funny because that's why I started getting, on these big bands in Miami-Dade and all that, which I have some stories about later on. But but yeah, I mean, reading and all that, I had the foundation, so I had to
Right.
go out and discover, what was required
Right.
to understand
Yeah.
the styles and all that.
What was happening in these pictures? Is this a band?
Oh yeah, that was a popular band, like a young Latin band that was called Los Abejorros.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it was
You
like
know,
a dance group, pretty much like Friends, Nikki, that kind of
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah,
you
right.
know, Carlomagno, when I see you in this picture, all I can see is your son.
I know,
It is almost like a carbon copy.
It's amazing.
I know, I know,
It's crazy.
I know.
And then this was a rock band here.
Exactly,
This is when you were a bad boy.
exactly. That band was called Modelo para Armar, and at the time was the biggest rock band in Costa Rica. We used to open up all the international shows, and we were really, really big at the time.
Yeah, Kai Sanchez said menudo.
Nice.
So yeah, so I was never shy about experimenting with styles ever.
Well, I'm sure it did you good,
you know.
right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
from the beginning, you're willing to play whatever you need to and make it sound right. That's not a skill that goes unnoticed later on, you know?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, but first days in Miami, or first years in Miami, I realized that that it's okay. You can have some artistic preferences, and you can have even your own projects to express yourself more in a
Right.
personal way. But you have to be a professional musician, and that encompasses a bunch of different things.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I've started in the quest of becoming the best musician I can be before I can be a drummer. So that's kind of like the idea. At
Right.
least what I was trying to do.
Tell us about when you came to Miami.
Well, when I came to Miami, well, the first time was in that picture when we went to your house and had
Right.
some nice rice and beans and meat and all that. And I remember like first time I visited, Nicky went to pick me up. He was kind enough to go and pick me up all the way to Miami Beach. He took me to Miami-Dade South. I didn't speak English that well, so he helped me out going through offices and getting all the paperwork done and all that. And so I will always remember that. And then we went and had this amazing dinner at Kathy's house, and I came back to Costa Rica, and time passed by. I never received any notifications about the application or anything like that. And at some point, I remember my dad went and said, so are you gonna go or what? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm waiting for the letter. And he went like, if you don't go for it, it's not gonna happen.
Wow.
I remember that day I was like, you know what? Yeah. So I sold some of my drum kits. I literally had, at 22 years old, man, you don't know what the hell you're doing. So I went to Miami, only knowing one person, Mike and Nikki and another friend, with $650 in my pocket.
Yeah.
And a drum set. So I went there, and my friend Carlos Murray, who's a great friend, he helped me a lot in the first years, and he would keep a great friendship. He let me stay in his apartment, and coincidentally enough, was like literally walking distance from Miami-Dade South.
Okay.
So I was able to even walk there. So I went to Georgina's office and knocked the door, and I'm like, okay, I'm here. Well, are we? That kind of. I was not that conscious about things. So, but he embraced me, and that first semester, I only played in the big band, and then by the winter of 2003 or something, 2004, I started, as a regular student of English as a second language first.
Right.
That took me 2 years until I was able to. I was committed.
Right.
Very committed. 2 years of English as a second language. Then I started taking credit classes, math. Whew. I took 5 semesters of math when I only had to take 2.
Wow. And you're still my friend.
It was brutal.
Wow.
But I was really committed to following Mike and Nikki's path of going through the schools and doing all that, because that's what I wanted to do. That was the biggest thing for me.
Well, that's just amazing that you had that kind of a, like a bulldog.
Right.
Determination.
And I learned a bunch of different things and experiences. I remember because I was my reading, especially back then, I could read freaking anything. It was crazy. It was obscene.
Right.
What I could read.
That's completely the opposite of most cases.
But I couldn't play with the band. So G would wait for me to be in the busiest part of the chart. And he will walk in front of me, and I was so immersed in the chart that I couldn't even see he was right next to me. He walked behind me and ripped the chart from the stand. And he would be, "This is not music. This is paper. This is not music."
That's right. That's G for you.
But what a great lesson. That is the
Oh,
truth.
man.
Yeah.
I understood that like way ahead of that. Some things just fall later
Yeah.
in you.
Well,
But
you learn the lessons when you're ready to get them. It's
Yep.
just the way it is.
So we're going to do a clip in a moment, but I'd love for you to talk to maybe American audiences don't know the artist, Ruben Blades, but they probably know him as an actor, if anything.
Right.
He's been on Fear the Walking Dead, and he's done a bunch of movies in the States. So, and he's great at everything he does. But you tell us this story.
well, Ruben Blades is for some people it's like the equivalent of Sting, Peter Gabriel, and
He is incredible.
that kind of like artist in the Latin genre. Very progressive,
So
very
hip though,
very
so interesting.
advanced, and his lyrics are like something very special. It's incredible. The lyrics are incredible. And back, that was our relationship with him started in my last year of bachelor's at UM.
Okay.
And I remember, like, everybody there was very supportive and very encouraging, and they allowed me to go on the road, and we were able to work it out, so that I took a leave of absence for a semester, and because they understood it was important. And to be quite honest, at that moment, I mean, if I had to choose, honestly, I would have left Ruben's gig. Honest to God, because I kind of was like really set to finishing what I started. It was very important for me.
Right. You had a goal and you wanted to see it through.
They were super understanding, and Steve Rocker was like always there, supporting and helping me. Oh, Carlo, don't worry about it. We'll deal with the recital whenever. Don't worry about it. So they were always very nice and understanding. And our relationship with him started first through a trio that of friends of mine in Costa Rica called Editus. They are a trio, the guitar, percussion, and violin. But at the same time, actually, before we started the relationship with him, with the percussionists of the trio, we had this Latin jazz sextet that we loved to play with, which were...
Oh, tell them what the name of the band was.
Yeah. Very creatively, the Latin Jazz Sextet. Very groundbreaking name.
At least you know what you're going to get.
Exactly. And these guys right there that you see in the picture, those are classmates from high school.
Wow.
We went to high school together, in the art school, and we were all interested in jazz and experimenting and all this. So we had this group. So Tapado, who's the guy with long hair and glasses, and at the far left, he played with the trio with Editus. So they had the vision to do an album, a collaboration album with the two groups. It's a very, very cool album called Calle del Viento. In fact, the first CD that we recorded with Ruben, one of the tracks of that album is the opening track, and we played that track in New York in our Calle 54th Street sessions.
Right.
Sessions at West 54, it's called.
Yeah.
And so we played this album, and right around that time, Ruben got interested in working with the trio, because that was the first band he heard. And he tried to combine that band with some other people, but somehow things were not working. So he said, I'm interested in seeing what you have in Costa Rica, see what kind of musicians you feel comfortable working with. So he came to Costa Rica, and coincidentally, we had finished mixing that album. Back then, I used to come back and forth to Costa Rica to play just little gigs. It wasn't not a regular thing, but since we were friends from high school, we had the chemistry, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, they took Ruben to the studio and played him the album. Immediately, he went like, "Bring all these people, bring these arrangers, bring everybody." So that's what started our relationship with him.
And then you recorded.
We recorded 2 albums, Tiempos and Mundo. They won 3 Grammys. They won 1 with Tiempos and 2 with Mundo. And it's just, I mean, great music, great albums.
I think we should listen to one, a cut. And I really can say, for something that is, the genre is Latin pop. Really, it is the closest thing to Latin jazz you're going to find. I mean, it's so hip and so interesting.
And they're playing at the Montreux Jazz Festival in the clip.
Well,
we're
there you
gonna
go.
see.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We did all the festivals. We did like every festival we did. So to me, it was kind of like in a weird, bizarre, because I went to the States to get education and get have experiences, and all of a sudden I get called from Costa Rica to do this. So all of a sudden I find myself in Montreux and Carnegie Hall and Playboy Jazz Festival with everyone.
Yeah.
Right? We run into everyone.
Yeah.
Well, deservedly so, as you're going to hear.
Yeah. So this is from the Montreux Jazz Festival.
Siempre en la noche mi mamá buscaba el sueño frente a la televisión y me pedía que por favor no la apagara. Su soledad en aquel cuarto no aguantaba, aunque jamás me lo confesó. Yo niño no entendía su horror, porque uno es joven y no sabe del amor. Crecí mirando a mi madre vivir aferrada a una esperanza que la enterró toda amargada dentro de una noche que no acabó. Mi madre le ha temido a la noche desde el día en que se fue mi papá. Yo la miro y comprendo que ella piensa que las cuentas del alma no se acaban nunca de pagar. No se acaba nunca de pagar, no se acaba nunca de pagar, no se acaba nunca de pagar, no se acaba nunca de pagar. Que es amar a una ilusión que está atrapada entre la sombra del pasado y que en la noche se libera y va a su lado como el fantasma de un amor que no murió. Mi madre le ha temido a la noche desde el día en que se fue mi papá. Yo la miro y comprendo que ella piensa que las cuentas del alma no se acaban nunca de pagar, 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 no se acaban nunca de pagar. En el piano, Walter Flores. no se acaban nunca de pagar, no se acaban nunca de pagar.
This group, Editus, is an excellent group.
Beautiful.
I mean, excellent group. And not only are they very good musicians, but they're good guys, they're good people. So the first time I heard them, I thought, wonderful, what a great group. And then I found out they don't have any distribution, they don't have any contract and anything, which in a way was a blessing.
Yeah.
Because then I can use them without having to go with somebody, oh yeah, they're very good, yeah, they're very good. And then all of a sudden I have a problem recording these very good guys that they never distributed. And it's not as if like I'm discovering anybody. I mean, they're helping me to recover my enthusiasm. And they don't even know how important they are in my life, because I can do musically anything, because these guys can play anything.
That is so good. I
Yeah.
That is just really hip. I mean, you couldn't tell, you know, that's what if all Latin pop was like that, you know, sign me up.
That was a very interesting experience for us, because that show right there was at the end of like a 5-week tour in Europe. And just think
Okay.
about this. I mean, all of a sudden you find yourself in Europe, in Paris and Rome and all that,
Right.
playing festivals with your classmate from, you know, high school.
Wow.
Your classmates. It was like going out with the family. It was so fun.
Yeah.
It was too much fun. So we went to New York. That was actually my first time in New York, and
Ooh.
for most of us. So we go there, and up to that point, Ruben only had used musicians from New York. So it was a whole buzz about, you know, what about these guys from Costa Rica? Is Ruben going crazy? What the hell is going on with him? I mean, we're like the salsa mecca, you know? So we go there, and we had like Mark Quiñones and Gilberto Santa Rosa, a bunch of different percussionists just checking us out on that show. Luckily enough, we were like coming out of a 5-week tour, so we were pretty tight.
Right.
So
Well, and his words of praise, that's about as good as praise gets.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
it was
Absolutely.
quite honest. He really felt that way, and he was the kind of guy that would call us to the room and ask us to let him know when we're going out for dinner, because he would go with us, and he would reject limo rides because he was actually got pissed a couple of times. I saw him pissed off because he never requests a limo. He wants to go with the band.
Yeah.
So that guy is that way.
Yeah, that's something.
Cool
So
dude.
I want to fast forward a little bit because then you had your years at the University of Miami, and you studied there for many, many years. And you already mentioned his name, but we ought to put this picture up of the man, the myth.
Yeah, what can I tell you, man? That's my godfather, man. Steve is an extremely important person in my life. He is because of him that I was able to get my education the way it happened, and I will be always forever grateful with him. He knows it. I let him know every time, just
Yeah.
as much as I let Nikki know how important he is in my life, and I'll never forget those kind of person. And Steve is very special. He when we started playing with Ruben Blades, he called me up. He said, like, Carlo, it sounds like you know a thing or two about Latin music. So would you mind checking out the curriculum that we teach for freshman students in Latin music and Brazilian? And I said, of course not. I mean, not a problem. And so he showed me what they were teaching, and I told him, look, this is you can't play this in the gigs. You play this, you'll get fired. It's much simpler than this. You know, they used to teach all these intricate, very good books and exercises, but not really the practical or the functional way to play drums in a context like that. So I started showing him, and he went like, "Oh, do you mind if I transcribe it?" And, of course not. So we met a bunch of different times, brought CDs, and we spoke about it. And one day he calls me to the office and he showed me a little booklet. He look what I did, and he has his way to organizing everything that is incredible. So wow, I was so impressed. You know, it looks so professional, and then he asked me to do the demonstration back in my last year of bachelor's. And just to make a long story short, to this day I keep contributing to the school with that every year. This year we tried it remote online, and we had a little problems with the connection. But hopefully next year I have a better internet connection so that I can help him out, and I'll be there. I told him I'll be there. I'll be there, man.
And so you got your bachelor's there, you got your master's at UM,
Right.
and then you stayed on and got your doctorate, right?
Exactly.
So,
Doctor
Dr. Araya?
I still need to defend the paper, which is the final step. But basically I had to run my last semester of the doctorate degree. I was coming back and forth to Costa Rica because I had offer the job here, and the school year in Costa Rica starts in February. It's from February to November. It's not like August to April or whatever it is.
Right.
It's a little, it's all off a little bit. So they require me to so I had to juggle things around, and just moving the house and the family, and I was working and recording and traveling back and forth. It was crazy times.
We don't want to hear excuses.
Crazy. Well, yeah, I know.
Carlo,
No.
just defend your damn
But
paper.
trust me, I will.
Oh, listen, you are one of the most resourceful guys that I've ever met, and trustworthy. If Carlomagno says something's going to
gonna do
happen,
it.
it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't have any doubts whatsoever. I'm gonna throw over some pictures here just to name drop a little bit, people that you've played with and have been in contact with. So you had worked with Elon Chester.
Yeah.
And was this something that you were gigging, or just were kind of on the same bill?
No, we were that was in the same bill. We were sharing stage with.
So this was
with
when
the band.
Editus was practicing, touring.
Yeah, exactly. We shared a stage with Paul Simon, with Sting, with we played for Daniela Mercury. We played for. It was crazy.
Right.
We
amazing.
met so many people.
But clearly the pinnacle of all that had to have been the Araya Orta Quartet. Clearly.
Oh yeah. Everything was like getting ready for this.
It was just
Exactly.
leading up, just a one long
It
build
was
up.
the road, all those roads conversion. Boom. No, this was a fun, really, really cool project that, of course, it was Carlomagno's idea.
Yeah.
Of course, it was Carlomagno's idea.
I remember we were doing a gig with Mike, Nikki, and myself. With I think it was
Instrument or singer?
no, conga player,
Percussion.
percussion. He passed away. The guy played with everybody in South Florida. He played drums and percussion.
I don't know.
Okay, we'll throw that out to our
It'll-
audience.
it'll
Exactly.
come.
Well,
It'll
anyways,
come.
You guys answer it.
and we were playing. And I was like, man, if only my brother was here, we would have two pairs of brothers.
Yeah.
You're not talking about Oscar Salas, are you?
Oscar Salas, right?
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Got it.
Exactly. And that's when I was like this. I was like, man, we need to do this, you know? And then, of course, the challenge was to convince Nikki to ride a plane.
Ooh, that took some.
that was the challenge. It
that
took
was
me
about what year?
a year or so.
Yeah, probably.
And
a
then
little
we
more.
will be like, in the gig or hanging out, and then I'll be Nikki.
This is true.
Yeah, I'll be like, Mike, Nikki's gonna go on a plane, and Nikki will be, no way, and Mike will be, yeah way, he'll go, no way, I won't.
I'm
It was
happy
like that for like 2 years, for a year and a half.
Yeah, about a year and a half.
I'm happy to report that he's over that.
Over that.
and as a matter of fact, this picture, that was that first time we went, right?
Exactly.
So I had not been on a plane for about
10 years or something.
4, 5, 6 years from the Julio Iglesias days.
10 years. Yeah, I
It was probably
remember.
about that. And so, and it ended up being, fortunately, a very nice flight, and B, it was, such a blast then to finally kind of be doing it again. And I guess this was a similar situation to what you're saying with your high school buddies.
Exactly.
I had met your brother at this time, but just
Exactly.
being with my brother and with Carlomagno, it was already just so easy
natural.
and relaxed. And then your brother, of course, was a hoot and a great musician, great player. So we ultimately recorded a live CD that Carlomagno once again sort of put the whole thing together in Costa Rica with Diego Urcola and Paquito Rivera. And I have a little clip of that. And it was just, again, so much fun. But how can it not be when you're playing this kind of music with these kinds of players? Check it out. It's a small clip.
That's
That
such
was
good
so
stuff.
fun.
It was.
That was so fun.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Well, Nikki,
it-
I'm glad you agreed.
Man, I'm glad that you pushed. What can I tell you? I guess you need what you need at the moment, and it was a good experience. And I don't think I've stopped since, but it was the best. And we went back a couple of times for different things. And
We went to Twin Cities Jazz Festival twice.
That's right.
With
Yep.
Othello. Once alone or by ourselves.
That's right.
Then with Othello, and then we went to Cancun Jazz Festival.
Exactly.
Or
Yep.
Riviera Maya Jazz
Yep.
Festival.
yeah. So thank you for insisting and seeing the error of my ways. And so now you did, I think, not long after that concert. Was that when the Bossa Nova Sinfonico happened?
I think it was not long after that. Yeah.
That was a
We-
great thing too.
We started that has a really nice story behind it. I have my good friend Guillermo Madriz, who is who was the director of the symphony it was the executive director of the National Symphony Orchestra then. Being the way he is, he loves jazz, and he wanted to make the orchestra more approachable and to different audiences. He started like making these concerts with different alternative stuff. Like
Right.
he brought Ernie Watts once. We actually went there for that one too, and we were the backup band for Ernie Watts and the National Symphony Orchestra.
Wow.
And so he called it Jazz Sinfonico, whatever. So I came back to Miami, and I was driving, and I was like, man, I always loved that album Ella et Tom,
Right.
Yes,
Sure.
at least.
with the strings and all
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
There's nothing new about that. There's always been a marriage with strings and bossa nova and all that. But I remember driving around and I was like, man, it would be nice to do that. And I was already in UN for my doctoral degree. Was I? Anyways, I was just driving around, and I called Guillermo. I said, Guillermo, man, I have this great concert. This bossa nova with strings and the orchestra and bliss, and I just told him what it was. But I told him that we had it.
And that's how it gets done.
It wasn't true. So I had this, and he being crazy the way he says, yeah, man. And we go to the Brazilian embassy, we bring caipirinhas and all this. He started going crazy. And we'll do it. We're going to do it. So sure enough, he proposed it, and we started working on it. So I immediately called Rose and Ramachis.
Yeah.
And I said, Rose, we have this opportunity, okay? We have the orchestra. Let's call Jeremy Fox. So we called Jeremy Fox, and I told Jeremy, look, Jeremy, there's not much money here for the arrangements, but this can become a project that we could bring to the different orchestras. Let me bring you as a conductor, so you
Right.
make that money as a conductor as a payoff, and let's just co-op. Let's do like a little society, like a little joint venture with that.
Yeah.
So he agreed. He brought Rafael Piccolotto on board,
Yeah.
another second arranger, because it was too much. They were in the middle of their doctoral degree themselves.
Mhm.
Right.
So you know how much work that is with Gary Lindsay as the professor. So
Exactly.
so sure enough, some of the arrangements came to Costa Rica to the second rehearsal the night before.
Oh my gosh.
And I
That's
remember
insane.
like rehearsing the stuff and hearing it for the first time. It was crazy. And Guillermo was about to collapse. He was like, "Oh my God, man, you're gonna kill me," because he needs to respond to everybody there.
Absolutely.
So, and I knew that this concert could be a night. I mean, I had to register the concert, so I called a friend of mine who has a recording gear, portable recording gear, with 24 channels, not that great of a microphones,
Right.
But he charged me super cheap. He brought the microphones, and then right after the dress rehearsal, the orchestras they are all the same. Like 11 hits in the watch, and everybody disappears.
Yeah.
It's like they have a way to just leave the place. And we went in there, and I was like telling the guy, look, put this microphone here, put this other one here.
Wow.
I was just, figuring out, just by instinct.
Right.
So we did a little test with the quartet, which, we could afford to stay there for a little longer, and we test the drums and the piano and all that.
Right.
But the orchestra, we just put the microphones in, randomly.
Wow.
Right.
And I brought the tracks to my studio in Miami, opened them up, and I had to call Guillermo and said, Guillermo, we have an amazing album right here, man. Let's do it.
Did it not win an award?
Yeah, it got nominated in Latin Grammys.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, he is like, yeah, let's do it. He's crazy like that. He's
Yeah.
crazy like me.
Well-
So he was like, oh yeah, let's do it. So
Let's.
uh-huh.
I was gonna say let's listen to it cut because it's exquisite. It's gorgeous.
Está chovendo na roseira, que só dá rosa, mas não cheira a frescura das gotas úmidas, que é de Luísa, que é de Paulinho, que é de João, que é de ninguém. Pétalas de rosa carregadas pelo vento, carregou meu pensamento. Olha, um tico-tico mora ao lado e passeando no molhado adivinhou a primavera. Olha, que chuva boa, prazenteira, que vem molhar minha roseira. Chuva boa, criadeira, que molha a terra, que enche o rio, que lava o céu, que traz o azul. De água esperta se lança em vasto rio de águas calmas. Ah, você é de ninguém. Ah, você é de ninguém. É de ninguém. é de ninguém, é de ninguém, é de ninguém, é de ninguém, é de ninguém.
So good.
I don't know,
That's
man. Whatever you're
beautiful, man.
doing to
That's
make these
great.
things happen, just keep doing it.
You know, you're one of these guys that think you always think big, bigger than other people.
I don't know. I just get excited
Yeah.
about just the possibility, and that's it.
So-
It just fills me with drive to push for things. Some things work, some things don't.
Yeah.
So then was your next thought after that success immediately to say, hey, I know what, let's just get Eddie Gomez in the picture? I mean, it's the logical next thought, right?
Yeah, well, I met Eddie in Puerto Rico. Marco, when he was the director of the jazz department there,
That's Marco Piñataro, yeah.
Marco Piñataro, he invited me to be part of their so-called festival where they give clinics and concerts. And, you know, but that year, he invited a bunch of different people from Berkeley. He invited also Antonio Sanchez was the other drummer, and Ray Vega was on trumpet, and some other faculty from Berkeley. It was a great hang, and I happened to play with Eddie, and we spoke about it, and he's like, "Yeah, sure, we can do Costa Rica," and you know, we worked it out, and we made it happen with Mercedes
course you did.
Sanchez, who helped tremendously. She produced the concerts, and yeah, we did some great things with her, and this was one of them.
And amazingly, I have a clip, but you know what? This is fascinating. I love this clip because it's, you know, I mean, obviously Eddie Gomez had his experience with the Bill Evans Trio. So there's a lot, even though there's a sax in this, there are obviously moments where there's piano and drums and Eddie. So there's that whole subtle thing going on there, which is just another layer of that
I
musicianship.
got to tell you a story, man. I mean, he is one of those guys that doesn't like rehearsing too much. So when we rehearsed in Puerto Rico, we went to this classroom, and he played pretty basic. He just outlined the form and how to, you know, intros, outros, and endings. Boom, 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 boom. And I was like, okay, cool. So we go to the gig, and it took me like a tune and a half to really understand what was happening, because all of a sudden it was like a wild horse. I mean, like, he would play the bass. Sometimes he would abandon the function of the bass and do something else, and I'd be like, I felt up in the air for all of a sudden. It took me a little bit to adjust. You know, I should have done my homework and really listened to him more before, so I don't know what to expect. But after that rehearsal, you know, which was super functional, you know, going to the show and he did his thing, you know. And
I don't know that anyone would know that if you hadn't told us the story.
So let's listen here. Listen to the track.
Yeah, that's subtle.
Beautiful.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I mean, it's just nice. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
I think there's importance of it's very important for music to be beautiful.
yep.
There has to be that element of beauty has to be present at all times. In my opinion, that's what I
Yep.
like here listening to.
For sure. Not to name drop, but I'm just going to go on with more things because I want people to sort of see the breadth of your career and your playing style and all that. So then you had another gig
That
got
is
recorded.
Carlos Murray, my friend that hosted me for my first years in Miami.
Wow.
Right.
Costa Rican bass player. He retired a long time ago from playing the bass, but he was a very talented bass player.
So, and now you had done, I know you've done various gigs with Randy, and I have a clip from one of them. It speaks for itself.
Wow, that's fun. So, it's so funny. We prepare the show in advance and think of all the things we want to talk about and all the clips we want to show and all the, things we want to listen to. And the reality is you really have done so much that it doesn't fit in the time. So, what I really want to talk about is how proud you must be about your band at the
Oh
at the
yeah.
university. So, this is really a clip I want to talk about and show, and kind of give us your like a little bit of background on the school and the jazz band.
Oh,
And
okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, in Costa Rica we have tremendous schools for classical music. So instrumentalists here are very well trained in their instruments. They can really play and they can really read and they can really do, their thing. But styles being the way, at least the way I see them now, are are less about the notes, less about the patterns. They're more languages. It's like a language, right?
Right.
It's not about the words. It's about the accents. It's about the how and not the what. So, in terms of jazz, what I found lacking in terms of the instrumentalists here, as far as playing together in a big band setting, was a lack of understanding of a bunch of different you know disciplines and tools to really work together,
so
right?
they
And
already
understanding. So, I also value, having the background that I have, as far as understanding swing as a second language,
right.
and being able to cross over different styles. That was something that I really concentrated on with them, and also, the fact that I took Gary Lindsay's arranging class helped me tremendously. I honestly never aspired to become an arranger, and I never aspired to become a director either. But I just wanted to learn about the music. I just wanted to
Right.
learn the anatomy of the big band, and learn the class well. And I'd be like, I was thinking, oh, if I'm able to learn the basic of this, from my perspective as a drummer, I'll be able to have a more intimate relationship with the music if I understand it better. It's
Right.
not so much that I wanted to become an
Right.
arranger, but it's just
But
about
how you have to know how all the
creating.
parts work in
Right.
order
I mean,
to
because
understand the whole.
music is all, in my opinion, music is all about inner relationships and how you choose to relate to what is going on.
So
And the more you know about what's going on, the more intimate the relationship is, right? So through that class, when I was thrown to the opportunity of directing the band, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do because I never done it. But I
Had they-
remember.
had
but I
they,
rem-
were they already? Was it already a class? I mean, was it already a big band, or was
yeah,
it kind of something new?
they had this band is made up of the three different schools here,
Okay.
and I donate my time there. It's a college band, but it's comprised with the three main universities here,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And this band, these guys are super enthusiastic, and they all wanted to do it, and all. So I said, look, if you want me to work with you, I needed my own process, my
Yeah.
learning curve. So I said, look, what, let's do this, but let's forget about playing live. Let's just rehearse, and let's get the discipline of making the band sound the way it should. I didn't know how to go about it, but I remember exactly how a band sounds because I
Right.
sat in front of CJB many times.
Well, and you were in G's
In
band.
fact,
I mean,
in
you
fact,
saw.
exactly. But in fact, I never played in CJB as a drummer, but I played as a percussionist many times and subbed as a drummer a couple of times. But I used to just go in and listening to them rehearse,
Yeah.
just because I liked it. I wasn't really thinking, oh my God, I will at some point I'm going to direct the band. But I remember being in awe with, all those sounds and those chords pretty well balanced,
Right.
and the
It's an
discipline
art.
of
It's an art form
how
for sure.
how they learn to follow the lead of their section, and how they learn to instinctively follow whoever's playing the lead in the arrangement, and just knowing the what I learned in the class with Gary, he gave me encouragement to say maybe I should try this. But I also had my own ideas of what should be taught. And in Costa Rica there's no urgency to teach odd meters, because if you don't teach odd meters, you're out of the loop, or
Right.
there's no need. So it was a empty canvas. I could do whatever I
Right.
wanted, and they were going to do it. They
Right.
wanted to do it. So I said, you know what? What I see in general is that in schools, people are not so much interested in styles as much as they're interested now in odd meters and very complicated arrangements. So I said, you know what? Let me pick some things that I know they can play, but let's do them freaking right.
Right.
Let's make them balance the band in the room, balance their section, learning how to follow rhythm section, how to follow their own lead, and nice, how to really sound together
Yeah.
to begin with. So that took me a while. In fact, I had to come up with strategies. For example, I used to make them play passages, and I used to tell them, look, let's do this. Let's play from this number to this number. Play any note you want. It's gonna sound like crap, but respect the rhythms and the articulations. Okay, let's do this. And I would have them do that many times until I heard them sounding together. And from one take to the next, immediately I would say, okay, let's play the notes. Boom. And they would sound like professionals right away.
Yep.
And to me, what it came down to was I used to tell them, look, I'm going to ask you to do things, and please don't do them because I ask you to. Don't follow the authoritative figure. Try them, experience it, and follow in love with it. Because I need that to come from you, not from my orders.
Right. Right.
And that's how I approach it from the beginning.
Right. So it's kind of a Cinderella story.
It is a Cinderella story for sure.
Because
So I taught them the value of putting the individual to the service of the collective, basically. And that's what, to me, jazz is. I mean, jazz is the only art form where individuality is celebrated as long
It's true.
as long as it serves the collective.
it's true democracy,
Exactly.
It's
So
true democracy.
So they got into it, and if you see the interactions that we have, we treat each other like friends, like, hey dude, and this and that. It's like very, friendly, but they really respectful to the concepts, and they really did it.
Yeah.
Now, the beauty of this thing is that, so these guys have not been, doing the circuit. They were not in the jazz festivals, whatever. You come in, you get this whole concept going, you whip them into shape, and you get invited to a
Right, and then
competition.
I was invited to, somehow my university has a relationship with UNLV, Las Vegas University.
Yeah.
And Dave Love, who is the director there, who I met when I went to Las Vegas, invited somebody from the jazz department, which is in the works still, but it's not set yet. But they sent an invitation for a jazz guy from our university to their university because they were going to celebrate the winning of that festival, the Next Generation Jazz Festival 2016.
Okay.
So I went to Las Vegas. I did a clinic and I saw them play. They sounded amazing. And I was like, man, maybe we should do this. Maybe we should try this. So I emailed the director, Paul Contos. I emailed him and I asked him, man, would you accept a band from outside the United States? And he said, yeah, well, we do, but we can't promise anything because the first round of the competition is as a blind audition. So you're welcome to participate, but you know we cannot guarantee that you'll make it to the 6 finalists.
Right.
You know, and they never had a band from outside the United States even
Wow.
classifying to the finals.
Wow. That's
So-
amazing.
So I said, well, you know, maybe we should try it.
What
So
do you
I
got to
told-
lose?
So I told the guys, look, we're gonna do this. So we started preparing for it. These guys are hard workers, are really hard workers, and they really pay attention. And I really worked on trying to make them do the things because they hear it, not because I tell them, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
I think that's a key situation here. And so, you know, things started sounding kind of decent. So I said, you know, let we're gonna do a tape, an audition tape. So we put up a cell phone because in the description of the entry, they want you to do just a room recording. They
Right.
don't want any multi-track, nothing.
Right.
They want to hear the balance
What
of
the
the
band
band,
sounds
the
like, yeah.
dynamics, and the true sound. So we sent it, right? And next thing we know, we're one of the 6 finalists,
Wow.
and we have no money because in the U.S., you know, understandably enough, you know, programs, not only the plane fares are cheaper because it's a local
Sure.
flight, but also, you know, any program that has their band classifying to this final would put the money because that ranks the school,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know, but not here. They don't care. I mean, they don't know. For
Yeah.
them, it doesn't mean the same thing.
Doesn't mean anything.
So, you know, so I had to, I mean, you have no idea what I went through with Guillermo, trying to get the money and this, and people donated, and all of a sudden we flew to LA and drove 8 hours to Monterey. We were in a hotel, in a Motel 6, 4 guys per room.
Oh my God.
Wow.
4 guys per room.
Well, we should
Okay.
watch the video because somebody
Yeah.
did a whole thing about the whole thing.
There's a
so-
much longer video blog that we've edited down to 15 minutes, but it is a sort of a fairy tale situation, and you get a feel for the accomplishment that this was.
Yeah.
Thank you.
siente preparada?
Lindísimo, así, preparadísimo.
Hablábamos de la cohesión, de las secciones, de siempre estar con el link, ¿verdad? Del balance. No, nunca piensen que por hacer yo un poco más de fuerza extra voy a ayudar a la barra. Lo que ayuda es estar juntos. Eso es lo único que ayuda. La fuerza está en la suma de todo, no está en la fuerza que yo hago como individuo, es la suma de todo.
College Big Band goes to CCC.
I love that.
Oh, if that isn't the dream.
That is so fantastic.
Oh man, I tell you, I choked up every time I see that.
It's
It's amazing.
It's great.
I gotta tell you
Well-
that you know, as much gigs I have done and everything, I can tell you that my two biggest accomplishments were my degrees and this competition.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
me.
well, both of them were
I mean,
very
people can say
well
it different-
deserved and hard earned.
Yeah. It's just amazing. And Carlo, you know, we've spent all this time and I feel like we haven't even scratched the surface. There's still so much more. But yeah, I feel like I can't wait to see you in person. I can't wait to make music with you again. I can't wait to see you and meet your students and you know, and I know
Yeah.
that soon, it's knock on wood, it's going to happen. It's going to
We're
happen.
gonna do something about that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I look forward to the next things that you're doing with and without me. But with me, some of them, please.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for spending the evening with us and sharing your music and your students and
Big hugs and kisses to your family, Carla and the kids.
Yeah, man, it's been
please.
a pleasure, man. What a nice treatment to have been here, and thank you, man.
yeah.
Love you guys.
For us
Love
to
you
love you
too.
so much. We will see you soon. Be safe, and we will see you soon.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, Carlo.
So you
Wow.
have, there you have it. Just an amazing guy, amazing musician, so much fun and so passionate. That's the thing. And full of enthusiasm.
Absolutely. The guy's
He
amazing.
takes a bite out of everything and just
Yep.
goes for it. Well, it is time for us to say goodnight. We want to let you know that next week we will be featuring Russ Spiegel, his compositions, his guitar playing, it's just going to be great. Once again, want to thank our wonderful co-hosts, the Gold Coast Jazz Society and South Florida Jazz and Sunshine Jazz Organization, as well as the Miami Co-op. We wish you all the best, and we hope to see you again next week. Thank you so much. And make sure that you share this, make sure that you like us, and so that you'll be notified when the time comes for the next show. And we'll be checking in with Russ Spiegel. We'll see you next week.
Good night.